Hello and welcome to Season 5 of the Soundstage Audiophile Podcast. For the past few years, we've been digging deep into the history of hi-fi, as well as how geopolitics and socioeconomic forces are shaping its present realities. This season, we'll also start to look at hi-fi and audiophilia with an eye toward the future. What's this hobby going to look like as demographics shift? What can we do to bring in new enthusiasts? How will the gear and the hobby itself evolve in the coming decades? To discuss the possibilities, here's host Jorden Guth and this week's guest.
Hello and welcome to the Soundstage Audiophile Podcast. Today we have Matt Simmonds, the VP of Product Development at Lenbrook International, and you still hold the Bluesound Product Manager hat as well, so we're going to get into that in a little bit, but to start, welcome.
Thank you. It's really good to be here and excited.
Awesome. Yeah, so to kind of jump into this and kick off, let's do a little bit of an origin story. Let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
So before you started at Lenbrook, before you kind of got into this career and all of that, did you have like a first experience with music or with hi-fi? Like, did you grow up into that, or is this kind of a newer passion or obsession? Like, kind of give me the little bit of an origin story here.
Yeah, I probably have to start actually letting you and everyone know that I'm the continuation of a family business here. So I was really born into it. I had no choice.
There you go.
Yeah. So my grandfather started Lenbrook. My father, my dad runs it now, and so I've joined in on that. But honestly, it actually goes back even further. Before Lenbrook even started, my great grandfather started a company in the Toronto area that was a importer of electronics components, microphones, radios, those types of things. So we are now really at the fourth generation of a family business that has its roots in importing and distribution, but has also subsequently gone into brand ownership, brand development, and all of that kind of stuff. So that's like family origin story. So for me, I feel like I was kind of born into the hi-fi industry in a way. I felt like my parents did a really good job saying like, hey, there's zero pressure on you to like have to like this or desire,
Yeah.
I felt very supported in that way. I never felt like immense pressure to continue on here in any form or fashion. But early age, I think 4 years old, I started my guitar lessons, and 7 or 8 started piano lessons. So at my core, I'm actually a musician.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the love of music, which has took me forward through all of my schooling, high school, even university. I went to university to study music and business together, actually. And that was all pre knowing whether I wanted to be involved in the business or not. So I was just pursuing my passions, and it's just so happens it aligns very well with what we do here at Lenbrook. So, so that's kind of like some of the origin story and some of my personal, passions, which starts with music for sure.
Yeah. So you still play the guitar and piano to this day?
I still play, and I write, and it's something that I just absolutely love. Even last night, I don't know, you can probably hear it in my voice. Last night I was doing some recording and singing, and it got me a little raspy for the podcast today. So
oh well, I mean, if you're gonna do something, you might as well make it worth it. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay, so you were born into the hi-fi scene, which is interesting. We've talked to a couple different people that have either parents or relatives that are kind of in the scene, so they were immersed in it, which I think it's interesting because like myself, I grew up, my dad had a stereo system and all this, but I didn't really get it until much later. And then when I got it, I'm like, oh, this is incredible. Like, what have I been missing?
Mm-hmm.
When you were kind of growing up, did you have like a specific passion for a particular genre of music? Like you were talking piano and stuff that kind of lends itself to more classical, but guitar as well. Like, did you have any specific interests that way?
I was a little all over the map. But yes, piano was fully classical. I did kind of that full range of what you can do with the Royal Conservatory piano side of things. still love classical music, but I was playing in jazz bands in high school, playing stand up bass and things like that, and then but then really in high school I got into, like so many do, into like rock. I was in classic rock and wanted to play in bands, and then I really got into, for my era, like the emerging indie rock type stuff, like I don't know, Franz Ferdinand or Arctic Monkeys or The Strokes. Like that's my era, kind of the early noughts of that. Like that was really what I was pursuing in terms of what I like, the kind of music that I loved. So and that naturally lent itself to, hey, let me find some buddies that I can play music with, and let's start a band and let's do that thing. So I pursued that for quite a while, actually. Just making music, touring a bit, and trying to make that whole rock star thing happen.
That's so awesome. Yeah, there's a couple folks in the hi-fi industry. We meet a lot of drummers. So a lot of drummers are either owners or very heavily involved in audio companies. A few guitarists. I think you might be kind of one of the exceptions for the piano and guitar.
Mm-hmm.
That's super cool.
I can't play drums to save my life. So yeah.
Well, I can't play a single instrument to save my life. So you got one up on me for sure. So coming out of university, you were doing the touring stuff. You were kind of pursuing music. Mm-hmm. How did that transition into like, I want to start working in the audio industry?
I don't know if it was still ever like I want to do this, but it was starting to make sense. The music thing was, mid at best. We felt like we were pretty good, but I don't think everybody in that band was on board with pursuing that for the rest of our lives or a career or something. So it just naturally fizzled out as we started to get into like career type decisions and that age and everything. So for me, just, as you heard my history and stuff, made sense for me to see about stepping into the business. And what was cool about the timing for that was it was right around the time that Bluesound was launching Gen 2.
Okay.
So 2015 is when I started, and that's when Bluesound Gen 2 came out. 2013 is when Bluesound as a brand got introduced to the world. And it started with 4 different products, and then quickly, based on market feedback and kind of where things were moving quite quickly, we shifted into, the team here shifted into, we should develop a second generation, add a couple more products to the lineup. And he's really just one. It was a very small team at that point running the Bluesound show. So the timing made a lot of sense for me to just step right in as like a coordinator, a product coordinator in the Bluesound brand, helping just get Gen 2 to market basically. And there was I think a strategic decision from management here, trying to get someone that was younger and like a little bit maybe more up on things in the market,
in touch with the people that are buying the products a little bit.
Yeah, to try to get someone younger involved in that brand at early stages. So so that's what happened. So it's kind of just the timing just made sense in a lot of different ways, both from my personal life perspective, but also from the business side too.
So I don't really know the history of Bluesound in terms of why it came to be. Like, and maybe this helps for context for those that don't know. Like, Lenbrook has PSB.
Yep.
So Paul Barnes, the speakers, NAD.
Yep.
Bluesound.
Mm-hmm.
You guys distribute Dali, I believe.
Yes, in North America. Yep.
In North America.
Mm-hmm.
And I think recently you also have MQA in your portfolio.
Yeah. When they went into receivership, we purchased the IP and the branding there. That's rolled into what we call Lenbrook Media Group now.
Okay, so is there other brands that I'm missing or other kind of key pieces here?
The only other one is a kind of a derivative of Bluesound, but we started a professional, like a commercial division based on a lot of the same technology called Bluesound Professional. So that's products that are again using the same BlueOS kind of sauce that we do, multi-room audio, streaming audio, but tailor-made products to large-scale commercial installation.
Gotcha. So kind of take me back to around 2013. Why did Bluesound come about? Like, why wasn't that technology just wrapped into NAD or PSB or?
No, that's such a good question, and actually was the initial plan. So
Okay.
you're right on it there. The initial thought from our management team was, well, it was really like, honestly, you have to go back even a bit further. You see the rise of streaming. YouTube was launched, I think, 2006.
Yeah.
iPhone 2007. Famous Steve Jobs presentation.
Remember that?
Which
Well,
I still go back and watch every once in a while because I have to give presentations like that, to a much lower, lesser extent. But I'm like, I need some Steve inspiration here.
Order Starbucks for the entire audience from the brand new phone.
Oh man, so cool. Anyway, so that obviously we don't have to talk at length about that, but obviously those types of things, kind of in the 2006, 7, 8 range, like just shifted the entire cultural narrative around streaming and what we expected to be able to do with our phones or our devices, our iPads, whatever. So, so that's really what was happening in the background, was this huge seismic shift, and us having PSB speakers and NAD electronics being a fairly traditional, for lack of a better term, hi-fi brand, and seeing all of this change happen and being like, okay, well, we are going to need to embrace this new future, which is fairly obviously coming down the road in front of us here. How do we create products that give people easier access to music and easier access to control the music and all of that kind of stuff? So those are the questions that were being asked. And the initial thought would have for sure been to create maybe like a sub-brand, lifestyle brand within NAD. Like NAD, I think it even started. I actually think it started. They had a sub-brand for NAD back in the day called Viso, which had some like AirPod dock type products like Zeppelin, Bowers and Wilkins Zeppelin style competitor products. So that was starting those types of products. And I think the initial thought would have been that Bluesound, which wasn't Bluesound, but like that idea could live within a lifestyle sub-brand of NAD. But at some point in time, I don't fully know how or why, but it was decided that actually it should be its own brand, carry its own identity, allow us to maybe go to market in slightly different ways than we would on a more traditional hi-fi brand like NAD. So so it spun out to be its own fully developed brand. And that all of that work was kind of happening kind of 2011, 2012, soft launch at the very end of 2012 in Northern Europe. And then in 2013, we hit the North American market with the first 4 Bluesound products.
That's really cool, because even like thinking about it, I guess it kind of makes sense when you have an existing brand and you have a heritage, like the things that you launch or how you launch them or how you even advertise or who you're advertising to. If you make too much of a drastic shift at once, then you might lose your core audience. And then it's like, does the new audience really resonate with it in the same way? And there's a lot of baggage that comes with that. So I guess that kind of makes sense. Start the new brand, start from scratch, kind of build up from there.
Bit of a clean slate for all the things you just mentioned. Exactly.
Very cool. And like kind of going along this Bluesound road, because I mean, over the years, Bluesound has like just exploded in popularity. BlueOS is considered to be one of the best interfaces out there. A lot of different, I mean, like the PSB speakers use them. I have a set of Alpha IQs myself that I bought.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're awesome. But like Bluesound itself has also changed over the years. So like even one of the things Dennis was mentioning it, like this idea of the industrial design from the original stuff to the new stuff. So how does that come into play?
Yeah. I mean, it didn't take long for us to switch from what was the initial industrial design Gen 1 into a little more tame Gen 2. And honestly, that comes back to Lenbrook and Bluesound, but all of our brands, we really try to stay in touch with the market and listen to what people are saying. So for us, we came out of the gate, Bluesound, with like a fairly forward industrial design. It was like these diamond cubes. I don't know what people. There's been all sorts of different names for what they were, but Gen 1 Bluesound had a very distinct look, and I actually think that was super strategically important. I think because it basically said, "Hey, this is a new brand. This is a new approach. This is technology that takes us into a future, a more modern style." So it's like it kind of made a statement, even with the industrial design, even though we think, looking back on it, it probably came at the expense of some people being like, "Well, that's great, but I can't really put that in my home or with my system." Like there was a little bit of that. So that kind of pushback came, decently early. It wasn't negative. It was just like, okay, this is so cool. Not
But
sure
it
about the
doesn't
industrial
fit.
design. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the team took that right away, and that's why Gen 2 got spun out quite quickly. It's one of the main reasons. We were also able to, of course, upgrade internally I think at that time, into an entirely new processor platform. Technology had already improved so much in just a couple of years. So, yeah. But the Gen 2 was, and we still carry quite a bit of the industrial design DNA now from then. But the Gen 2 was a much more kind of tame, half width boxes that fit quite nicely into any system, existing or new. So that was the big shift then. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a struggle because like people ask for like design that stands out and is striking, but then there's also this element of like you got to live with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I find this like when I get speakers in or whatever, and they're kind of sitting there, and it's like, okay, this is like awesome. It looks so good, amazing for the videos, great for photos, and then after a while, you're like, that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb here. So like
Mm-hmm.
it's a tricky balance. It's
Of
a tricky
course. Yeah.
balance
I
on
mean,
that.
it's a huge part of, for any of our brands, like the decision-making process in developing the products. Like how that looks and feels in someone's home is going to be a big part of the discussion for sure.
Okay, so we're talking industrial design and we're kind of
Yep.
going that way. I kind of already mentioned this a little bit, but I own a set of PSP Alpha IQs. I
Mm-hmm.
love the speakers. They not only sound great, they look great, and the colors like pop and stuff like that.
What color do
How,
you have?
so I got the blue ones.
Oh,
So I
nice.
got the original blue ones.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of like sticking out or kind of blending in, I had them set up in the living room and I love them. I think they look cool. People come to the house, they're like, what are those? Those look
Right.
so cool. Like, and my wife's like, they're too intense. We need to dial this back. She's like, I want white. I'm like, we got blue. Like, so, anyways,
It's a spray
those
paint.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So those ended up upstairs, and blue is fine upstairs, but not downstairs
Right.
on the shelf or whatever. Um,
Got it.
but I'm even thinking like products like that. When I think about PSB's been around for however many years since like the 80s and
50,
stuff.
54 years.
Yeah, right. So like incredible. Actually, yeah, before the 80s. I keep on
72.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, we talked to Paul Barton a couple seasons ago and
Mm-hmm.
went through all that. I met him a couple times at the, National Research Council and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still forgetting.
Mm-hmm.
But considering that, like, that's a product that when you think about PSB, you kind of think, okay, traditional loudspeakers, but that's another product where it seems to be going towards a newer age of market.
Mm.
So how does a product like that come to be? How does
Yeah.
like where do you get the inspiration? When is it kind of like, okay, this is an area of the market that we need to go into?
Mm-hmm. Um, Man, I'm just gonna sound like the Bluesound guy, but it really actually starts with the development of Bluesound because, well, first of all, that gave us an entirely new customer segment to understand, research, chat with and discuss with. But um, it was the software development that we needed to do to make those products work, to make multi-room audio work. All of that software, which turned into basically its own entity called BlueOS.
Yeah.
um, that provided the sauce that provided what we needed in order to be thinking, oh, okay, wait, we can actually, yeah, we need all of that to make Bluesound run. Like that's the engine. But what if we start putting that engine into the other brands that we own and modernizing those brands into what, customers expect in this day and age? So that is the starting point for a product like Alpha IQ or the IQ2s, which are basically they just released, but they're the continuation, the next gen of the Alpha IQ, and the NAD brand as well, where many products have now come to market with BlueOS on board. So this is all one ecosystem, many brands all talking to each other, but it really started with the development of Bluesound to make that happen.
That's really neat. And one of the things that I mentioned this when I talk to people about speakers and stuff, there's almost this fear of like active speakers versus passive speakers. And then people go, well, why don't I buy an integrated amp or something like a Bluesound Node or Node X or whatever one it may be. Is there ever a fear at these companies where it's like you're going to cannibalize your market by making something that takes away some of the individual products? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
I'm thinking about, you make an integrated speaker system. I see that as like one of the future pieces of hi-fi for especially folks like me.
Yes.
Maybe I don't have a dedicated listening room all the time. Smaller rooms in the house and stuff like that. I don't necessarily want all these separate components, but at the same time, from your perspective, you got to be thinking like, okay, well, if somebody buys like a fully active system with BlueOS built in and all that, I'm not selling a Node. I'm not selling a NAD XYZ whatever integrated.
Yeah, we have those conversations all the time. We've got a fairly robust product management group here that we're all very good friends and worst enemies all at the same time. Because there can be quite a bit of stepping on each other's toes and crossing over into each other's customer segments and categories. But honestly, and this is maybe a bit more of a step back philosophy of how we approach product development at Lenbrook, is we really love the idea of giving options to our customers. And obviously when we say the word customer, we of course we would mean all the way to the end customer, the person who's listening to that product in their home. For us, there's also an in-between customer, which is either distributors in different countries or retailers around the world. They also like to have options, things to sell, solutions for people in all different categories, but also price segments of those categories. So that's kind of like this, what I feel like is a foundational philosophical thing for just how we approach product development and product management in our company is we have multiple brands. Let's provide options for customers at every level so that they can make the system that they want. Like we can't be everything for everybody, but because we have these different channels in terms of brands and stuff, we can be quite a lot for different people at different times. So I think that's kind of we love the idea of options. Even plays itself out in software. So we have obviously an entire software division here that's running and developing BlueOS. If they can, they will try to make sounds really simple and basic, but if they can, they're going to try to make like a toggle switch that turns a feature on or off and allows the customer to have that choice, for instance, rather than just saying, hey, this is the way we do it. And that's, too bad, so sad for you if that's not what you like, So that's an example of that would be on our Bluesound Pulse products. We like to think that we voice them in, the best way for how everything works together for electronics and acoustics and our research, going back 54 years with Paul and PSB. We like to think that we voice our Pulse products pretty well.
Spot on.
Yeah, pretty spot on. But of course, at the end of the day, that is completely subjective. And so giving customers what we call in the app, we call it front row. It's just a toggle option that basically, if you toggle that on some of our Bluesound Pulse products, it gives you a bit more of like a forward, like a MIDI cue kind of forward sound, and it just like it changes what would be kind of our normal out of the box approach. Some of us might even not really think it's a great approach, but it just gives that the customer something else to listen to. It's another option. So that's an example, but we love giving customers options for things.
So it's funny that you mentioned that. I had a pair of, this is kind of a brand that you distribute, so it's not too far off base, but the DALI headphones, the IO12s.
Yeah.
And when I did the review on them, I basically said that it was a very bold move that DALI basically made the headphones. There was no app. This is the sound profile. Mm-hmm. This is the sound that we put forward to you. They have a bass option that kind of emphasizes bass and stuff like that. But this is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like it was liberating in a lot of sense, because I didn't have a million things that I can mess around with and play with and try and tweak and all this. Like it is what it is, and I could just enjoy it and not think about it.
Yeah.
But then at the other sense, when you have the options, then you start playing around. So in my own mind, I still haven't come to grips with whether I like it or not, having the option versus being told what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an
I think
interesting
that's the
conundrum.
fine balance and the fine tension in all of it. I actually love that approach by DALI. It's just like, this is who we are. This is what you get. If you don't like it, don't buy it.
Yeah.
All good. Yeah. And there's an element of that in everything we do too. Like fundamentally, there's things that we're just not going to change in our approach. But when we can give customers an option, and you were asking it in terms of like, how do you not, like, do we cannibalize each other in different brands
or products?
In products? Yeah. And the short answer to that is I've talked a very long way around, but basically the short answer is, yeah, we probably do in certain categories to a certain extent. We're conscious of it, but at the end of the day, we'd prefer to, ultimately, it's just on us as a business. It's like, are we going to carry a little more inventory on and use a bit more of our working capital to kind of like, cross over in a few places, or be sparse and not have the thing that someone wants at that particular time. So it's like, we kind of err to the side of having options available.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And okay, so the theme for this season is all about like kind of the future of hi-fi. So where hi-fi is going and stuff.
Love it.
Everything that we've just kind of talked about sets the stage for where you guys came from, where you guys are, and a little bit about into the future. But I guess from your perspective, when you're thinking about how products are going to change or how things are going to be within the next 5 years and then maybe past that, like, are there trends or are there things that you're looking at and you're saying like, this is an area that we either need to focus on or maybe not focus on as much, or this is something that I think the customers of tomorrow are likely going to be drawn towards? Like, is there any general stuff without giving away your secret sauces?
No, yeah. I would say a lot of what we've done recently, I'm mostly talking from a Bluesound perspective. It's just where my heart and soul are at the moment. But
I love it.
Yeah. But also even that whole IQ active speaker discussion. So they kind of all go together for me. Is okay. And this trend has been happening for a while, but you mentioned it even already here. Like, you don't have a dedicated listening room to listen to music, and around the world, emerging markets, like Asian countries where condo living, apartment living is the norm. It's like, yeah, that's true. Like, our Canadian Americanized way of thinking of like big home, maybe a dedicated home theater room or a dedicated listening room is not necessarily how everyone lives. So, actually, it's increasingly obvious that most people aren't, and younger people definitely not. And again, this is not new or news, but we've been leaning into a concept lately that internally we call simple AV.
Okay.
And that has dictated quite a bit of the product roadmap for the last couple of years for Bluesound, and a little bit for some of the other brands as well. But it's basically saying, okay, a customer doesn't likely have a dedicated home theater room. Even if they do, this is the trend we've seen so often. I see it even in people I know. It's like people put in the dedicated home theater room in the basement and they almost never use it. They maybe every once in a while for a big movie night, but
Yeah.
generally the everyday living, which is such a key theme for Bluesound, is like we want to it's everyday life that we're building product for. The everyday TV watching living room entertainment area is like that room just off the kitchen that's kind
Yeah.
of like communal. Um, so when you think of that in mind, it's like, okay, that means that one system that plays audio for television, but is also the music system for dinner parties and just general life. That one system is it. That's the system. And so for us, how that worked itself out in terms of product was for Bluesound was the launch of our new soundbar range over the
Yep.
last 6 months or so, the Pulse Cinema and the Pulse Cinema Mini, which we really put a lot of work and design into just making those like amazing music and audio systems. Yes, supports all the Atmos, HDMI, amazing for home theater, but also sounds great with music and can really be that very simplified AV system for those. I don't even want to necessarily say smaller spaces. We can say smaller spaces, but for those like real life
Multi-use
living
rooms.
spaces. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then when you add in like the BlueOS wireless kind of capabilities for home theater and stuff like that, that takes simple AV to a whole nother level where you're simplifying everything about that setup. You're not running cables through walls and all of that stuff. You just like, and you can use building blocks to build your system over time, which I love the idea of as well. So that's this simple AV idea. Again, we don't market that term too much, but we use it internally to guide some of our discussions. I think the IQ, like the PSB IQ, even comes into that, or a Bluesound Power Node comes into that discussion as well, because these are products that a lot of customers are just using as a 2-channel, or with the Power Node now, if you can use it as an LCR if you want a 3-channel Power Node, but as for their TVs. These are just systems for watching TV, and they're soundbar alternatives even in a way. So they kind of, all of these products kind of overlap on the customer type and use case, but they're in slightly different like product type categories. So it's fun, but that's kind of been a guiding principle and a trend I see happening right now and continuing for a little bit into the future as well.
I love it. Yeah, the Alpha IQs. So one of the biggest things, so the living room space that I said my wife was like,
no
a
blue,
little too bold, a little too blue, is literally right off the kitchen. It's kind of this open concept house and all that. And what she appreciated with it, and we get other speakers in from time to time, but it's just like AirPlay. Like AirPlay is easy there's no Bluetooth mix match or any of that stuff. It's just AirPlay, music, done.
Yeah.
Now that they live in front of the TV, I mean, we literally watch TV on them most of the time. And then when we're doing laundry or like cleaning up or whatever, that's just the system that's always on in the background.
Yeah.
So I feel that.
Yeah, it's a trend. And then I don't know. This is a question, not a like I know anything about it, but like how on earth is AI gonna shift things for how we consume, how we live? Like that's something I think we're trying to get our head wrapped around in terms of developing product towards however that's going to look for people. Yeah. It's not even, I mean, I think there's going to be more and more products. I just was reading an article yesterday that Chat is coming out with like an AI speaker. Like, so basically taking.
Oh, OpenAI, Sam Altman.
Sorry, OpenAI.
With Johnny Ive.
Yeah.
From Apple stuff, Apple fame.
That's apparently happening. It makes a lot of sense. It's basically taking all of the Amazon and Apple and Google, like all the stuff they did with basic voice, and probably taking it to a completely new level. So it makes a lot of sense. That's probably going to start to live in people's homes. But so how we integrate AI into product is definitely a discussion that we have. But I might be a bit of an old soul, but I'm just wondering also, like, what the reaction. There's always a reaction to everything that happens culturally.
Yeah.
Like, so what is the cultural reaction going to be to being like basically always connected, always known, like, by AI? Like, what is that? What is that going to look like? And maybe
What's the
that's
flip
gonna,
side of everything?
yeah, maybe that's gonna, like, um um dictate some hi-fi trends over time. Would be kind of like this question that keeps swirling around here a little bit.
So, like, my personal perspective on this, and I see the benefits of AI in using it as a tool to help me get done some of the stuff that I need to get done. So,
Mhm.
I need to do a certain line of code, and it's like, I don't know this. Like, give me the syntax, and it spits it out for me. I think I already see the trend that you're talking about, where it's like that counterculture to AI, and I
Mhm.
think that's part of the reason, and part because there's a lot of reasons, but vinyl making the resurgence
Yeah.
that it has and continues to, I think that is kind of that, like, I don't want to
Yeah.
be just fed everything. I don't
Yeah.
want AI to give me a playlist suggestion. Even if I like what it says, I don't
Mhm.
necessarily just want to be that forced down my throat.
Mhm.
So I think there is that, and maybe that's a toggle where you have the AI on and you could turn the AI off.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Because I see that as I see the vinyl as an example of where people that are kind of not feeling the way that
Mhm.
people feel like AI has taken over their lives. Vinyl is
Yeah.
a way around that. And actually, another trend that is super interesting to me, people are restoring old iPods. So
Yeah.
they're like pulling out old iPods, they're putting in new batteries. There's like an entire community that's integrating like Bluetooth controllers into like iPod classics that never had them,
It's
so that they
amazing.
can use them with wireless headphones and do all that.
I have a drawer I need to go empty right now of
Oh man, put them on eBay. Like, you'll make money. It's wild how many people
crazy.
are into this. But I do
Amazing.
definitely see that there's a trend towards AIing everything, but then
Mhm.
there's also that counterculture that is like, no, we want that disconnection. We want
Mhm.
that personal, that one experience that doesn't have AI looking over your shoulder, listening to what you do, and then going to tell you 10 other things that may be accurate, but
Mhm.
that's not what you want. You want to
Mhm.
kind of live in the moment and get messy, I guess,
It's
is the
that.
way.
It's like that living in the moment kind of thing. CDs are. I was just to CDs are coming back too. It's
Oh
crazy.
yeah,
It's crazy. We're NAD's in development. We just launched a new CD player, high end CD player, developing another one, and it's like we can't keep CD players on the shelf.
that's what,
Um,
because there's a lot of companies that actually stopped making
yeah,
the laser for
yeah,
the C. Yeah, I there was some great back and forth between companies that like stocked up on them and other companies that didn't.
yeah,
Eh, So interesting.
yeah. So that's
Cassettes were also making a comeback for a while there. I don't know if that's still a thing.
I don't know. I feel like cassettes do run into like some real physical limitations at a certain point, whereas I mean, CDs. CDs I think is the same thing as vinyl. People want that like tangible touch
Tactile thing.
feel. Yeah, tactile album art. I mean, it's smaller, but still like had the CD liners and everything there. So I do think that's part of a reaction. I don't know if it's fully just to AI or just to like the connected world that we've lived in, like always on
Yep.
our phone and stuff. We see that a little bit in like we built our entire ecosystem based on controlling the products with a phone.
Yeah.
And there's lots of benefits to that. There's also kind of a reaction against that sometimes where people just want to either use a remote control, which we do allow for, or um, people love on Bluesound products like having those preset buttons on the top where they just
Yeah.
don't have to pull their device out to control it, but they just press the button, get a playlist started or a radio station started or something like that. It's like super key feature. But another part of the counter-cultural reaction trend to me, I think has to do with like shared experiences. So I think live music is feels like it's maybe making a comeback or something.
I feel like there's more. I know bands now need to tour in order to actually make money because
Yeah.
digital sales aren't really a thing. But I
Yeah.
do feel like there's more of like people inviting friends out to go watch a show. Which I feel like we lost that a little bit, and I guess COVID and whatever.
Yeah,
But even
that
before
didn't
that,
help.
it was kind of settling down.
Yeah. And then there's this other trend that I've just been keeping my eye on, especially for speaker development, but it's like cafe hi-fi culture.
Yep. I was in Toronto yesterday.
Okay.
And just finished a video shoot, and we were looking for a beer, and we ended up in a vinyl cafe.
Yeah.
And they were playing Angie.
On College?
Sorry?
What street were you on?
Dundas.
Okay. Cool.
I can find the name for you.
Yeah.
But they were playing Angie into Poitouine,
the crazy band. Yeah.
And literally we were walking by and I'm like, no way.
Mm-hmm.
And they had it on vinyl. It was in the cafe. They had all these records, and I like asked the guy, and the guy that was serving is like, oh, this is the owner or whatever. It's his choice. He just ran out. He'll be back. He'll talk to you in a while. But I was like, this is awesome. Like, I haven't seen this in forever. So I think that's
it seems like a huge trend, and you can see it in a lot of the Asian cities like Seoul, Japanese city, Tokyo.
Yeah.
And then New York has this bustling scene, and you've got and it's starting to. The reason I bring it up is because it's like these are gathering places, cafe culture, but like mixing hi-fi into it is such an amazing thought. It's like I don't feel like that ever was fully gone. Like a lot of cafes have had great old sound systems in them for a long time, but it's like feels like events are happening in them. Like people are renting out the spaces because they've got such a cool vibe, and and then obviously it's going to sound quite good. We did a press event for launching all the new Bluesound Node products. When we did our New York City press event, we did it in a kind of a listening bar cafe type place, which had a crazy old JBL system in it, which was just so cool. So that's an example of even us leaning into that a little bit. But the example in our industry of where that's coming kind of like actually mainstream is the Klipsch and Ojas. Have you seen? Yeah, that's like New York City guy. I think he is creating speakers basically in his like garage and just like, but in this but also part of that like whole New York City culture of whatever that is, this boutique kind of hi-fi cafe culture, and now teaming up with like obviously a very, very well-known brand name in our industry and making that actually something that goes to market at scale. So it's really interesting.
It's fascinating. To wrap this up, you've been super generous with your time, so I don't want to take up too much more, but what we ask folks who come on here, and I'm so super curious for your response, if there was an album or record, a song that you could it's like the soundtrack to your life, so we could go that route, or we can go, you put it on and just like everything melts away.
Yeah.
Is there one? Or would you be able to pick, or?
Well, I'm wondering if it's maybe the same for both. I Melt Away and it's a soundtrack to my life, but the artist is The War on Drugs, my fave. And I would have a tough time choosing the album, but probably either Lost in the Dream or A Deeper Understanding, which are not the first two albums from that band, but kind of the first two ones where you started to actually hear about these guys, and I bought both of them on vinyl, and just amazing. So the song Pain from A Deeper Understanding, that's the track. That's the one.
Yeah?
It's the one.
Love it. I love it. I'm going to steal it. Yeah. I'm going to put it on my playlist. We're going to listen. And yeah, I'm excited to hear it.
Great.
Matt, thank you so much for taking your time, and take care and all the best.
Hey, thanks for having me.